and welcome to this episode of the LSO Meet the Musician. I had the privilege of kicking off this series a month ago and sharing some of my first experiences. And today, in keeping with the theme for the month, returning to the basics, I want to share with you some real fundamentals about bass playing. So grab your favorite beverage and sit down and relax and enjoy this bass-ics lesson, and let's get to the lowdown of what the bass is about in the symphony. The bass is the foundation of the symphony. The bass section is the foundation, and all the different sections are so important to give the symphony its wonderful sound. But if the bass isn't playing in tune with a great sound and with great rhythmic integrity, the orchestra just won't be happening. So it's very important for us in the bass section that we really focus on sound and rhythmic integrity and also playing in tune. Playing in tune in the bass section is so important because the bass often plays the fundamental of the chord. If we're playing in the key of C, then the note C would be the root or the bass note, and everything else would build on top of that in all different colors. So if I'm playing this note out of tune, all the other instruments are going to have a hard time really resonating and playing in tune, and the orchestra is not going to sound strong. So it's very important that the low strings, particularly the basses and cellos, are playing well in tune. So on the bass, our pitch comes from how we use our left hand. And the left hand tells us what notes we're playing. Folks always ask me, how do you know where you are and what to do? Well, practice, right? And what do we practice? Mostly scales. So if you want to become a bass player, let me show you a really cool tip. Here's the hand position. I'm going to sneak in on the camera here. You see my hand? If I put my thumb opposite my second finger, like so, have my finger up here like this, and stretch out, first finger to fourth finger is like do, re, or C to D on the piano. So it's a big stretch to play one step on the bass. For every whole step from 1 to 4, we have a half step from 1 to 2. We don't use this finger until we get up higher, and then this. So we'd have an open G, and then I could play G, G sharp, A, and then A sharp, or if you want to think of it another way, this would be G, A flat, A natural, B flat, and I can just keep going up. And that's basically how we figure out where the notes are. We have to learn a hand position, and there are 3 really great ways to work on playing in tune. We hear whether we're in tune or not. We see there are certain landmarks that we work on. Young students you might often see have tape in certain positions on the bass, but we work on seeing those positions out of the corner of our eye. And then we can also feel. The bass will resonate if I'm playing a note in tune, a D, for example. If I play that D, then my strings will vibrate and you can hear and feel that pitch. So that's how we as bass players work on getting around. If you're watching the bass section in the orchestra, primarily we're playing in this register because, again, we're the foundation or the basement, and we're playing our low E and our Fs and our Gs. Sometimes you'll even see a bass player that has an extension. I do not have one, but Blake, principal bass with the Crosse Symphony, he has an extension up here, which means he can finger notes even lower than the E. He can play a low D, and if he opens it up all the way, he can play a low C. So it's great sometimes to hear that low C in the bottom of the orchestra. So that's the foundation of pitch in the bass section. The rhythm comes in the combination of both hands, but mainly our sound and our tone comes from the bow. The bow I'm using is called a German bow. The German bow is held kind of cradled like you're writing with a pencil, and the French bow is the overhand style. Something to watch for when you're looking at the symphony bass section, because you'll see all different bow styles, but I prefer when I play, to play with the German bow. And when we play, we want to try to get our rich, dark, chocolate, thick, big sound. We do that with 3 factors. Where do I place my bow? And generally we want to place the bow between the end of the fingerboard and the bridge. Here's my fingerboard where I finger, and the bridge. You can see that angle there. So generally in the middle. Then how much speed, or how fast or slow do I draw the bow? That's way too fast. It sounds fuzzy. And generally I probably would never use my bow that fast, but if I want to slow the bow down, now I can get more of a rich, chocolate, warm sound. Also, where I place the bow. If I move the bow closer to the bridge and use that same speed and weight, there's a little bit more of a bite or focus to the sound. And I actually am bowing slower. If I go closer to the fingerboard, you'll notice it's warmer and softer. That's called soltasto. Sometimes in our parts it'll say S-U-L-T-I-S-T-O, playing over the end of the fingerboard. There's another term called sol punticello. It's really raspy sounding. So we can get all kinds of sounds based on where we put the bow. But for a typical piece of orchestral music, we really like to play somewhat in the middle and put it all together with the bow weight, the speed, and the placement. And then we add that to our fingers. So, for example, last March we played a little Beethoven 5, the scherzo movement, the 3rd movement. We're in C major. And it was just a C scale, but then we have to add rhythm and so on. And if you have a chance, check out the Crosse Symphony's recording of that. It's posted on YouTube, the full symphony from the March recording. And there you have it. Some more basic fundamentals of how the bass section supports the orchestra and plays with the orchestra. We're all part of a team, and all the sections of the orchestra need to work together to be able to make the orchestra sound rich and full and perform all the different repertoire that's in front of us. So thanks again for tuning in and listening to this presentation today. I hope you check out some more presentations. Every Thursday is the new Meet the Musician video with other members of the symphony. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also purchase those tickets to the virtual concerts and hopefully our concerts in the spring live back at Viterbo. Until then, stay safe, stay warm, be kind, and enjoy music. Take care.